Oh man, the days are blending together, my friend. The days are. We will get through this. We will get through this. I promise everybody. We will. We have to. This is. We're gonna be good. We are live. We are live. We are live. We're waiting for this bad boy to load up on the old LinkedIn machine here. Okay.
Is it
Let me
happening
put
on
some.
LinkedIn Live? Let me just check actually, Adam. Make sure you're on there.
It's
Oh,
happening. It's weird.
is it
It's weird.
happening?
Yeah, we got a bunch of people joining us.
Cool.
Hey everybody, joining us, joining us. We're gonna let the critical mass load up here. I'm with my man Hung Lee. We will do our formal podcast live kickoff in a minute. It's weird. It like freezes up. So I follow along on my phone here because if I do it on the computer, you'll get the delay on it.
Same, yeah.
So, but then it stops. It stops playing. So I'll catch up on this afterwards. All right, let's get the party started. And these days, day and age, I mean, everything is a virtual party. I did a virtual happy hour with my friends last night on FaceTime and Google Hangouts. It was actually pretty cool. Had a cocktail with my friends. I am broadcasting live from the podcast bedroom studio. I'm with my man Hung Lee. It is the 19th day of March in the year 2020, and been quite a 2020, my man. It's been strange. What's happening with you, Hung Lee?
You know what? I'd hoped that 2020 at the start of this year would be a great year, but very very quickly that's been proved. It couldn't be proven more wrong. So obviously
Man.
we've got a really difficult situation over here in Europe. I suspect the US will be no better. And yeah, we're in the entire globe yet to come, right? India yet to come. Second wave in Asia, that's going to happen. So this is a really tough time for Homo sapiens, I would say.
It is tough, but I think that we will survive. I think that we are a resilient people. I think that we will get through this together. I think that we need to come together, and it's going to bring out, I try to be optimistic in these times. That it will bring out the best of people and the best of society, but we also have to prepare for the worst, right? We also have to prepare, for what's bad to come. So let's talk about, just before we get into recruiting, talent, global HR, and all that kind of fun stuff. What's happening in the UK, man? What's the pulse? What are people feeling? Are people is everyone on edge? Are people being optimistic? Are they being pragmatic? Are they preparing? Or is it just a shit show and everyone's out on the streets partying? Which I know is not the answer, but
Obviously it's variable, right? I mean, different populations, different people, individual level have their own opinions on it. Having just seen what I've seen and know what I know, I'm on the pessimistic side. I don't think that we've handled it well. I don't think any European country really has. I mean, no government has, right? It's a mess. And this is such a tough thing to try and deal with. But we have seen some examples of people get on top of it.
right.
And I don't think you can really say the UK is one of those. We've had a kind of a contrarian approach strategically on how to handle this process. That has pivoted. In the last 3 days, we've now suddenly said, oh, we should do what the WHO have been recommending for months. And now we're scrambling.
Glad to see they woke up.
Yeah, well, belatedly. It turned out that actually they modeled it wrong, and their main consideration was thinking how long, how long a patient would actually need to be intubated for in hospital. We're all like experts of respiratory illnesses, right? But basically, yeah, so essentially they were using pneumonia as an example, some sort of a flu or something as an example, but they didn't realize that actually if you study the data from Italy and from Korea, from China, that actually is twice the amount of time people need to be on a ventilator, which obviously show up the terrible numbers that were modeled. So then we pivoted,
Right.
and now we're going to suppress like we should have done from the beginning.
But yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And there's going to be some really tough lessons learned here. Some really tough lessons learned. And I'm trying to be optimistic. And listen, people are going to die. People are getting sick. And that's absolutely awful. But we have to look for the silver linings here. I talked about it on a show the other day that the technology and the information that's coming out of this is accelerating at such a rapid rate that we're going to have such advances and amazing takeaways and innovations coming from this, certainly at a terrible cost. But listen, life is unscripted. The journey of us Homo sapiens on this planet Earth is unscripted. I do not think this will be the end of us. I mean,
No.
viruses has been around for thousands and thousands of years. The other crazy part is that, we don't talk about the adaptability of a virus, that like as viruses go on, humans, our bodies are naturally adaptable. So some will build up internal immunities and defenses to this virus. But it's really, as you spoke about, it's those people that are not well, right? Those people that have pre-existing conditions, people that have, weakened immune systems. Those are the ones we have to look out for.
Dude,
that has moved, right?
It's preventable deaths, man. That's the main thing. I mean, yes, there's folks that obviously are more vulnerable than others, but if you're young, fit, and healthy, that doesn't make you suddenly immune to this.
No.
What is a tragic thing from all of this is that a lot of these people that are dying really could have been saved had we applied the right strategy at the right time. And had there been more transparency, more global sharing of techniques, data, etc., we might have done a better job. But as you say, it's not an existential crisis for the human race. We'll survive it. Everyone knows that. I think all the scientific agreement is that this is not something that's going to destroy humanity. What it will do, though, is create huge change in how we live and how we operate, and this is going to be the start of the brave new world for us.
It is scary, and especially for businesses. And I mean, local businesses, every business is taking a huge hit right now. And it's interesting to see the ones that are stepping up, the ones that are taking care of their employees, the ones that can afford to take care of their employees, and the ones that cannot afford to take care of their employees that are going into their own pockets, and employers that are putting themselves in debt to take care of their people, absorbing the hit. And
just on that note, I'm pleased you made that, Adam, because you get a lot of companies get praise, and rightfully they get praise for this. But in situations like this, it's going to be the cash-rich businesses that can afford to do that. And I definitely think we can't be painting employers that are having to let staff go as the bad guy, because that's just a low margin business. That's it.
Right.
I'm
it's
sure
tough.
they have to let people go. That's the way it's going to happen. Unless this is why the state really has to step in. And I'm very pleased that in the US, you're starting to talk about UBI. You start to talk about, hey, we're just going to do this. QE for the people. I think the US will do that, and you know what? That's going to basically catapult you guys back to the front in terms of how you innovate and how you set up a culture and set up a society. And I think if the US does that, almost every country will follow. But we've got to do it quick, because right now people are losing jobs. They got rent to pay. They can get turfed out of their house. And then what? You got hundreds of thousands.
It's a downward spiral. No, it's a terrible downward spiral. And I'm really hoping, we talk about this overarching idea of empathy, but then there's also practical empathy. And I was talking about it with my wife earlier today, right? There's only a certain extent that landlords can give a reprieve. Like they could maybe, take 2 months rent payment and maybe amortize it out over the rest of the year. Maybe there's ways to do that. Same thing with mortgages as well, to give people some relief. Yes, you're going to be paying a little bit more later on, but it'll give you time to get back on your feet. You have money now, cash in your pocket for groceries, essentials, things to keep your family afloat. But then if you're a business owner or you own properties, right, you have bills to pay as well. It's a terrible trickle down. So there's an extent to it. And then, you layer on government support. Eventually, we're going to have to pay for that, or our kids are going to have to pay for that. So it's a delicate balance.
This is where you can't means test it. I mean, anyone who follows me knows I'm a big fan of Andrew Yang. And the reason why is because he goes with the universal idea of this basic income. You've got to give it to everybody. If you start means testing, you've got a lot of people that are paper rich, but they're leveraged up to the max, man. And if their businesses can't trade, you know what? They're actually sort of in terms of the balance book, probably more poor than the person that you would otherwise say is more worthy. So you've got to give it to everybody. You just got to say this is an exogenous crisis. No one can predict it. We're going to reset, but no one should lose their business. No one should lose their jobs. No one should be on the street that they don't need to be. We've got to redo all of that and then deal with the aftermath later.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know for me, my personal momentum, 2020 for me was off to a great start. I had a lot of things going for me professionally and personally, and, shit just hit the fan. And it's crazy. And for me, I'm somebody that gets kind of worked up over the small things, Hung. I get crazy over little things. I get crazy when my dishwasher is not loaded properly. I don't know about you. I played Tetris when I was younger, so I'm very into things have to fit efficiently in that dishwasher. So I get crazy over things like that. But I take something like the world that we're living in right now, and you know what? There's some solace in the fact that we're all in the same boat together.
Yep.
Everything everywhere is canceled. Nobody's like, hey, guess what? My birthday party's not canceled, or hey, this concert's going on, or that show. We're all in the same boat together. And I think it's kind of in a weird way bonding us. That everybody is, listen, some people are well off and rich and on their isolated island and they're protected from the virus, but still they can't do anything else, man. We're all in it together.
You know what? I'm pleased you said that as well, because that's exactly how I feel. I think this is not literally, we are in it all together, and we're going to do better if we help each other. It's very clear that we're going to need each other to get through this. This virus is a new thing that's happened. No one's got immunity to it. It doesn't recognize, your beliefs, doesn't recognize your values, your ethnicity.
Does not discriminate, my friend.
Exactly. It's going to hit you regardless. So we've got to help each other get through it.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So let's talk rubber hits the road. Let's talk about the things that you and I actually could speak intelligently and informed on. We are not in politics. I guess we're kind of lucky in that point. But you had a couple of recent posts out this week where we'll talk at a high level about certain things that companies should not be doing, and that kind of levels down into employer branding as well. You talk about some basic things like auto-scheduled posts. And I'll give one example. It's not quite an example of that, but I was watching the news this morning and there was an ad for cheapo air, right? I mean, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe it is a time to travel for some, but maybe it's a little bit insensitive. Maybe she'll be a little bit more mindful about cheap air travel right now. But I even see it in ad campaigns. I see some predatory stuff as well, which is really disgusting. For example, on Instagram, I'm getting a lot of ads for people literally selling toilet paper, paper towels at, twice, 3 times the rate. But let's talk about a couple of things that companies should be mindful of during this time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think that obviously this is a reset. Companies, you have a lot of automated marketing comms campaigns out there. None of that is relevant now. You really should have a pause on all of it, because you run the risk of it going wrong. I mean, a lot of the stuff that is annoying is actually not predatory. It's just literally being scheduled a week or two in advance, and this thing is moving so fast. That what was entirely relevant at the end of February is completely the wrong thing in the middle of March. So yeah, anybody who's got a scheduled tweet or a sort of ad campaign that's automated, you got to rethink
Get ahead of it.
Get ahead of it. Just shut it down. It's probably the easiest thing you've got to do. The second point is, we do need a bit of humor. We do need to kind of keep our sense of humanity, but I think you run a higher risk if that's your approach. So again, I've seen some, use of COVID-19 as a icebreaker, if you like, on cold emails and stuff. And I'm just thinking, just don't do that.
No, don't take advantage. Do not take advantage. Do not be profiteering off of this. I mean, I've seen it on some sales emails too. Hey, it looks like you might have some time in your hands now. Now's a good time for us to connect. And then they pitch. I think it's one thing, and I'm actually taking advantage of this, being a little bit of a lull in business. We'll get to that reasoning in a little bit. But taking some networking calls that I might not have had the bandwidth to do in the past.
Yeah, right? Networking, I think now is the time. Now is the time to connect.
Connecting human to human.
Yeah, people that I would say people you already know. It's quite difficult to convert anybody right now. I mean, what are your conversions rates, guys? If you're banging the calls out now, how many are you converting? Is that going to actually help your business? I would say probably not, unless you're working in a niche where there's a clear demand for what it is that you do. But right now, everything is on pause. That doesn't mean you stop working. It just means you end up shifting your focus to something else that you've maybe neglected. And networking and reconnecting with folks that would rank highly amongst those, I'd say.
Right. And take the time also to work on some skills that you might always wanted to develop, right? Maybe for me, I'm doubling down on content production right now. Yes, it's coming from my bedroom office, but you know what? It's still amazing content with great people like yourself. And what am I going to do with this content? I'll chop it up, I'll repurpose it, I'll use it, I'll spread the good word and all that. So let's talk about business and our business, which is talent acquisition, recruiting, the future of work. I've seen some of my clients literally grind to a halt, and I have to respect that because they need to reset and fortify, their infrastructure and make sure that their employees are set up. And every company is different. Some companies, as you mentioned earlier, have the cash and the resources and the logistics to think outside of just their immediate company, and that's awesome. But some companies are smaller and they really have to fortify their own defenses, and maybe put a pause on talent and recruiting. I mean, my mindset is, if at all possible, try to keep some momentum going. Because what you don't want to happen is when this thing clears, hopefully relatively soon, you're back at the starting line, starting from scratch, because other companies might be keeping the momentum going and you may lose some of those candidates that you have in play. But either way, whatever path that you choose, as long as you're communicating with your candidates and telling them, hey, this is our stance, this is our position, explaining it well, being transparent, I think everyone will understand. And ultimately, Hung, and I think you'll agree with this, everyone's got to be freaking patient right now. Just take a deep breath. Don't be crazy. Everyone's just trying to figure things out one day, 1 hour, 1 minute at a time. What do you think here?
I think it's absolutely right. And in fact, candidate care needs to shoot right up to the top of the priority list right now for recruiters. Again, one of the things that we neglect, because because the client's more important, we've got to try and do it this way. But actually right now, the candidate imagine being in a process right now, where you were thinking mentally you're going to move company, let's say you're prepping for this, and then all of this stuff starts happening.
You're at the finish line.
Yeah, it's really tough. And everyone's got stories. Everyone's got personal friends that have had hiring freezes thrown on them and they can't move forward and all this type of stuff. People have even left jobs to get a new job, man. And then that's been crashed. So there's lots of stress. I think recruiters have a role to play there. Absolutely. Go reach out to your candidates and show some empathy to those folks.
Yeah, just touch base, human to human, I think that's what it's all about, and just being as transparent as possible, and trying to answer questions. And if you don't know the answer to the question, just tell them that. Be like, listen, I honestly, Hung, I can't, I know you're in the process right now. I know you've had 3 interviews, we're close to a decision, but right now we just have to pause. On the flip side of that, I made a job offer yesterday. One of my clients is moving things full ahead. They're doing everything remote. They're getting people onboarded remotely. They're going to ship computers. It felt so good, a little bit selfishly. It felt good for me. I needed that win for me to say, hey, you know what? You're still doing things the right way. You made somebody's day. They're going through a lot of crap right now. They were scared and worried in the process. This person that I made an offer to is in between jobs themselves. And that person needed it. That person needed that good news. And those are the moments you have to say, all right, what we do in our job changes people's lives, right? Like, us recruiters get crapped on all the time, but now's the time for the good recruiters, even the ones that may not be so good. Now's your time to shine, man, because this is what's going to separate you when we come out of this. The ones that really do things the right way and keep their companies, clients, and candidates moving forward in the right direction by communicating and doing it with empathy and care, you're going to come out on top when this is all over.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And in fact, one thing recruiters are, I think, very good at is adapting to new realities. And this is an opportunity. What I see of this pandemic is that it's an accelerant of underlying trends that were going to happen anyway. Remote working was going to happen. Virtualization of the recruiting process was going to happen. And this has just shocked it into overdrive. Now, if I was an agency recruiter or in-house recruiter right now, I would say, okay, fine. Probably right now I don't have a huge rec load. But what I do have is the opportunity to figure out how to work with these new processes and how to be good at them, so that I can be effective during the times of crisis still, as these candidates and as these companies still need. But also, that's investment for when, as you say, we emerge from this period, you'll be well positioned to be a good performer in the new market.
Yeah, now is a good time to build your pipeline. Now is a good time to reach out to some candidates that are A+ candidates, and we're talking about passive candidates, ones that may not be on the job market, and just reconnect with them. Just say, hey, do you have 15 minutes to just have a catch-up call? I'm not looking to pitch you on a role. I'm not looking to sell you anything. I just want to see what's happening in your job, your industry, what you're hearing on the street, so you stay top of mind with them. So I want to talk a little bit more about us recruiters, the ones that are in the trenches. And there's different types of recruiters out there, right? There's agency recruiters, there's in-house recruiters, there's independent recruiters like myself. It is tough. And I'll be honest with you, Hung, I'm scared, man. I'm an independent business owner. I'm a consultant. I already lost a small portion of business earlier this week, which scared the crap out of me. And that's, short-term scare. I know that I'm going to be okay because I have the skill set and that foundation. I'm going to take some hits, right? I got to hunker down, keep my money. And the ones that are in-house too, I hate to say this, but if business goes south, those are the type of things that companies, once they stop hiring, those jobs may, be.
Dude, it's already happening. It's already happening. Doing what I do, which is basically write a newsletter for recruiters. I've got a lot of people connecting with me, and they're giving me information about what's happening in their personal situation. Hiring freeze at best in many cases. Other cases, it's like, look, it looks like I'm on the market, and they're gonna shut me down. And that's something we're gonna see. Again, 4 weeks ago, hiring a recruiter was like really hard to do. It's like super tough. Massive demand for a skilled experienced recruiter. I think we're gonna get a surge of people on the market, and that market's gonna flip again. So we're in tough times. I don't think recruiters is any tougher than any other business. Everyone is in, as you say, one of the things that does give you a little bit of grounding is that everyone is in the same boat. We just got to help each other through. We've got to figure out how can we help highly stressed people, being stressed ourselves, but sometimes helping someone is the best way to de-stress for yourself.
Right. Take it off yourself and help someone else.
Yeah. Go out there, do something, and you just feel better that you've made a positive push forward, no matter how, small that may be. It's still a positive thing. And that just helps your own psychology. So, yeah.
Quick couple shout outs. Michael Goldberg, thanks for joining us. My man, Michael Goldberg, coming out of Dallas, Fort Worth area. Michael's my man over there. Sherry Lally, how you doing? Wendy, Dr. Nelson. Nelson asks, how do you do the live thing? Well, it's a fun little application process through a small company called LinkedIn. And they give access to certain people like myself who love to just yap and hear ourselves talk. But really, I love LinkedIn Live because especially in times now of how do we bring information to people, how do we utilize it best? And I think that's what this platform was created for. So switching back, I want to talk a little bit about working remote, and we'll start with, we'll talk about some work from home tips that apply to everybody. But specifically for recruiters, I am a little different. I've been working remote for a number of years and I have it mastered. But when I talk about working remote, especially for recruiters, it starts with your mindset. It's about being focused. And a mantra, Hung, that I repeat every single day during times of virus, during times of night virus is plan your work and work your plan. This was taught to me on day one when I got into recruiting. And every day I go in with a plan. I go, here's what I'm going to attack today. Here's what I'm going after. Here are immediate, open recs, calls that I have to make, things that I need to do. And if I could get to 75, 80, I'm not going to get to every one of them, but if I could get to most of them, I feel accomplished for the day. Obviously, curveballs come in, things come out of right field, left field at you all day long, but that's something I repeat every day. What are some of these things for recruiters that are now working from home that they really need to focus on to continue success, to be efficient, and to be productive?
Yeah, I think you may have hit on the best tip, to literally write it down. Get it down. Don't recruiters often don't do this because they're the job can become second nature. That's it. The recruiting job can sometimes become second nature. And an experienced recruiter might walk into the day, normal path, and then just get on with it and be great. But now we've got this shift. Different environment. You're by yourself. You got your kids there. You got your dog needs walking. Your colleagues aren't sort of around to banter with you. You lost your rhythm. So I think absolutely you got to create your own structure because suddenly you've moved from a structured environment to an unstructured one. Create your own structure. I would also suggest it's a case where time boxing is very effective for me. It might not work for others, but this is literally creating slots or blocks of time where you focus on one thing. There's going to be
blocking and tackle.
Yeah, block and tackle. Basically, recruiting is one of those jobs that is full of interrupts anyway. So we're used to having like 100 things on the go. That's all fine and well. But in this circumstance, it might help for you in terms of to increase your productivity, to clear some of that stuff out and block it out. In other words, looking at email. Recruiters, you know what? You can look at your email 25 hours a day. You still wouldn't get through them.
Right, you're just playing catch up, and every time you respond to one, you're getting thrown off of your previous task.
Right.
I find that too. I try to do the block and tackle thing, but for me, I mean, I have three, main clients, so I have three email browsers up. They're not consolidated into one, and then sometimes you have a priority if a job is moving along, if you're waiting for an offer approval or any type of feedback, you might be a little bit more attentive to that, but. If you could be disciplined, to your point, it's really hard to do, right? You're always looking at your phone, it's buzzing away, it's going.
You got to use tools, man. I mean, one of these things, because these days you multi-tab, it's very difficult to keep your eye on everything because everything seems urgent when it happens. And sometimes you kind of kid yourself to think, oh, that notification came through. Don't worry, I'll just quickly deal with it and get rid. And then that might take you 2-3 minutes, but your mind's off. So it's actually more than just 2-3 minutes. You got to reset what the hell you were doing, and then another notification comes in, and before you know it, the thing that you were meant to be doing that could have taken 20 minutes actually is now 4 hours down the road, and you still haven't done it. So that's a classic way where you've allowed the day to intrude on your day. And time boxing with some tooling. I mean, you can use sort of things like Same Tab, which is a browser that controls the tab management. I use a product called Workona, which basically you set up a bunch of tabs and you flick through them. So, hey, recruiters do need to be on social. We do need to be on LinkedIn, but you don't need to be staring at that all the time. Shift to a different set of tabs.
What is Workona? I'm not familiar with it.
So Workona is basically a tab management product. The way in which I do it is if you're working on single screen, and I'm assuming that's the default that most people have. A lot of people that have multi-screens actually do it per bits of hardware, which is probably the more optimal way. But if you're going to do single screen, which I do, essentially what I have is a bunch of things which is social. This is sort of informational input, chat, that kind of stuff. That's on one workspace on Workona. Second workspace is going to be, I would say, deeper work. So this is documentation, this is spreadsheet, this is
tracking, whatever you use.
Yeah, exactly, those types of things. And then you have a third one, which is maybe personal stuff that you also need to take care of. These days your personal demands have all increased, so you do need to take care of that. But not everything at the same time. So your eyes are constantly distracted. And we don't deal well when we've got new things, moving things all the time in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too. I mean, I've heard different schools of thought on multitasking being a great skill, and I think for me, it's kind of like OCD. Like I figure out how to harness my kryptonite for powers of good, right? Like I take things that like affect me in OCD and I turn it into my superpower as far as recruiting, that I'm able to multitask. And then some people will say that that's completely inefficient. You need to focus on one thing. And I really think everybody needs to find what works for you, right? Because there's a different formula that works for everybody. But once you do figure out what works for you, to your point, there's so many tools out there to make yourself more efficient and just be lean and mean. Let's talk a little bit about that mindset, wellness. For me, I mean, it's a rainy day here in New York, but yesterday was nice. And I took a 2-hour break and I went outside and I played with my kids. I, went bike riding with my daughter. We kept it tight. We didn't like congregate with other people, but use that time. Like a lot of people that have families and stuff, like you don't get this type of time to be around your family, and hopefully you have good families, right? Like your kids aren't a pain in the ass all the time, but like use this time. You're never going to get it back. You're never going to get this time back, and look for those silver linings. Get outside, take a walk, get fresh air, because you're not going to get sick just from the fresh air.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are silver linings there for sure. And I know a lot of people that, don't have enough time with their family. This is an opportunity to do that. I am also sensitive to the fact that sometimes the home situation isn't great.
Let's talk about that.
And this type of situation can be super stressful. So that's probably one of the really tragic things about this, is that you might be putting people together that shouldn't be there.
That is something that, let's pause on that for a second. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I kind of caught a hint of this in a previous conversation I saw online where, and I don't want to go too dark on this, but some people, for them, going to work and going to school is where they need to be to get out of the house. Some people have toxic households. Some people are not in, homes that are loving and empathetic and caring and supportive. And people don't have homes that are logistically set up for working from home, and it's really tough. And that is going to cause so many stress.
I think we've lost Adam there. I think I'm still live. Hey guys, if I'm still live, you still see me, say hi on LinkedIn. I'm gonna check whether Adam is still there on my phone. I think he is, probably talking to nobody right now. Oh. Hey, man.
Hey, we're back here?
Yeah, yep.
Sorry
I
about
lost
that.
you.
Hey.
No worries, bro.
We got cut off. Could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, man.
Hey, are we back? Hey, sorry about that, everybody. We had some technical glitches. And yeah, Andy, we're back, everybody. Sorry about that technical glitch here. Seems like that's something that happens occasionally. I know when Hung and I did our podcast, I was sequestered to a studio room that I was not used to, and I had a weird internet connection. But anyway, we're talking about people that don't have the best environments at home, and that's scary too. I mean, that's the reality of it. That some houses are toxic, and hopefully that just works out for the best for people, and they figure things out. And maybe the silver lining is that it forces people to have to figure it out. They have no other choice but to figure out how to live together, cohabitate, co-work, and just live in harmony.
Cross fingers. I mean, you'll find out some truths. I mean, and unfortunately, there's going to be people that are more affected negatively than others on this, and that's just really sad. I'm not sure there's anything we can do about it at this point either. Other than be there, I mean, being online is one of the escapes. So, even doing shows like this, I mean, I've been told at home, please keep doing the Brainfood Lives on Friday. Please keep sending the emails. And then I realized, whoa, maybe that is important, because there's going to be some people that really need to have that sense of stability still. And
normality.
They can escape into it for an hour or two, and I've realized that that's actually quite an important thing to do.
100%. Andy Foote wants to know if you just have a closet full of white shirts and that's your uniform.
Andy, no, this is only one white shirt. I wear it all the time for these shows. So this is the white shirt for TV. No, I actually have a closet of white shirts because I made a decision a long time ago when I used to wear shirts. You know what? I can't be bothered to accessorize or think about what matches, whatever. I want to wear white, a dark suit, white shirt, and then whatever tie works. That's what I made that decision a long time ago, and I kind of stuck to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope things open up, man. I have RecFest on my radar. I applied to be a speaker. I'm not going to check in right now. Hopefully the application is going in a good spot. I think that we need to be optimistic that things are going to blow over as best as possible. I don't mean to say blow over, but I think things are going to work themselves out, hopefully in a positive direction sooner than later. And hopefully before the summer, man. Kids at school and people going back to work. I mean, we could get through this for a little bit, but I don't know how long we could do it for.
Well, I think we have to. I think the term is bounded optimism, right? I mean, I think what we need to do is recognize this could be a very long haul and mentally prepare ourselves for it. I don't think. I mean, everyone's got a different mental approach. The way I'm thinking about it is, okay, this probably is going to be a big shift in terms of how we all operate. World doesn't go back to as it was, and we need to all just figure out where we're going to be. What we have to do in this time of change is just to equip ourselves to best handle more change. And this for me is keep building the network, keep building the profile, keep building the skills. This is where you suddenly have more time perhaps than we did before.
Absolutely.
Don't have this time poor excuse. Okay, invest the time, and invest the time in building basically your capacity to be agile and to be able to adapt to whatever future reality that might present it to us.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great point too, is really honing those soft skills. And especially if you're a recruiter, maybe it's going deeper into your industry knowledge. Maybe, if you're a tech recruiter, spending more time on the blogs and the vlogs and learning the technical lingo, again, spending more time making those informational calls with candidates. But we will get through this. And I want to keep things light and airy right now. Hung, you want to play a quick game?
Sure.
We're going to play a game here. It's a game I have. It's called Pod Decks, and part of the name here. But essentially, it's a little bit of an icebreaker game here. So I'm just going to take a few random cards here. I shuffled this earlier. For anyone playing at home, we have not. I have not stacked the deck. I have not started. So I'm going to try to hold them up here. This is my left. This is my right. Pick a card. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from my left.
I'm going to go 1.
This right here.
Yep.
Ooh. Serious question, Hung Lee. I don't know if you have a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, but do you count your steps? Do you track your steps?
Serious question, serious answer. No.
Steps is when I go on vacation and I want to see how ridiculous amount I walked or hiked that day. All right, let's pick another one here.
I want to go 2. Yep. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on. 2 is fine. Yep.
Have you ever worn clothing with the labels or tags still attached? Is the tag still on your white shirt for Andy Foote?
Honestly, that has never occurred in my entire life.
Really?
No. Like,
what about toilet paper?
You talk about walking out the street with the tag still on your suit. No, man. I mean, you got to take care of your appearance a little bit. I mean, I'm terrible at it generally, but I cut the tags off as soon as I get the damn thing. So
all right. Last but not least, let's go. I'm gonna go dealer's choice here. I want to find a good one here. I'm kind of cheating here, but I want to find something. Okay. What is the weirdest thing that you find attractive in a person?
Oh my God. This is where do I need to reveal my kinks now?
This is where it gets fun here.
Oh dear. And now I've just mentioned kinks. It's like I can't stop thinking about terrible things. No. What do I find attractive about a person? I don't think it's weird. But I do like people that are that generally are quite honest. Like they can be a bit crude. They can be a bit unskilled socially. If
radical candor.
No, I don't mean rude per se, but there's certain people that I think there's someone who's nice versus someone who's charming, and a charming person is someone who has all of the skills to make you feel good. But you know what? You're not sure whether they're going to make you feel good for a purpose or an agenda. Whereas there's other people that don't have those skills, and actually they may not be the most popular people because of that. But they've got that they're not faking it. That they're honest. And there's a trust factor there. Yeah, so I agree. I don't think attractive is the word, but I deeply respect that degree of honesty.
I like good spin on that. You took it from a weird place to an okay place here, and that's a good skill set.
Thank God.
You can tell that Hung is a skillful moderator. You know what? I'm going to go last one here because I'm going to talk about my injuries too, and I feel like I've been injured a lot in the last couple of weeks. Like really stupid injuries. But what is the dumbest way that you've been injured?
The dumbest way, physically injured, you mean?
Yeah, we're not talking about mental scars.
Okay, physically injured. So I'm getting old, right? And I'm at the point.
Are we all technically?
Yeah, getting on there. And you know what? I'm at the stage now where I'm like overdue, like a comedy injury. Where you get out of bed, oh, there's your Achilles tendon. Something serious happens off something innocuous. So I'm very conscious of all of this. Like a serious injury, I would say that was trivial. You know what? It's quite a horrible one. I don't know whether people want to hear it. But yeah, okay. You asked the question. I'm gonna answer it. So my hearing is kind of off on one of these ears. My left ear is a little bit worse than the right. And there's a reason for that. Because when I was a kid, I used to clean my ears with Q-tips. And one of my appalling, terrible, never to be repeated habits was to leave the Q-tip in the ear while I was walking around. Yeah, you know where this goes. So as I was walking sort of in the bathroom, it wasn't a big bathroom, but I walked, I turned, the bathroom wasn't locked, door opened, bang. just jammed it right into my head.
Oh my God.
And
I wish I could go back
we
3
don't
minutes ago and not ask this question.
No, we don't know about that. Let's move on. But yeah, that was a horrifying moment for me.
Injuries are tough here. So let's wrap this up here, and I want to give some closing thoughts, some closing advice. You've been around the block, man. I'm not calling you old or anything, but I mean, you just said it yourself that you're getting up there in age, and you've been through recessions, downturns, and we talk about recruiting specifically all the time. It's a freaking roller coaster, man. It is a freaking roller coaster of emotions, and I truly believe that now's the time to harness that tenacity, rely on those calluses that you've built, those internal mental calluses that you have that make you tough, that make you resilient, and hunker down, be true to your core values, do the right thing every time. But what are your last, words of wisdom that you want to, tell everyone here?
Recruiters are adaptable, number one. And basically recessions, which let's say we're going to have this one, they're not evenly spread across every industry and every geographical location and all the rest of it. So what we have to do as recruiters is understand where the demand might be, position ourselves smartly for that. To give you an example, before this call, I had another call from a bunch of friends of mine in the Netherlands. And they're setting up a recruiting service for free because obviously they're in the same boat as everyone else, but it's a Recruiters for Good kind of project, which I want to support. But the reason why they're doing it is because there's a huge amount of demand right now for emergency workers, which previously, of course we needed them, but there was never a kind of a surge like we have now. And by the way, an emergency worker is not just a person who's on the healthcare front line. This is a garbage disposal person. This is someone who might repair, sort of keep the energy,
the equipment,
going.
Right?
Yeah, all of this stuff that probably we would previously have not considered to be very high value jobs. Turns out society depends on them, and there's a massive shortfall in critical areas now because we've had to rearrange society to try and deal with this crisis. Delivery, all this types of stuff. So and they have a crisis, and they're building something that can help employers rapidly connect with people that could do those jobs. So it's a sign for me, just to follow up on your question, that there is always going to be recruitment demand, irrespective of the situation. We just got to understand and read the runes to see where that is and position accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm helping a fellow recruiter out who's helping staff the drive-through testing stations here in the tri-state area. We're putting a call out. And I think if my bandwidth for some reason really depletes over the next week, I'm going to look to him to see how I can help out and at least put my recruiting skills to work. I'm a people finder. I'm a connector. And you know what? Like, I don't even care if I'm making a penny off it. Like, I'm good for right now. But if I could help people in this time anyway, the same thing with remote work opportunities. I mean, you think about the amount of people that are losing their job in so many industries: restaurant, hospitality, tourism, entertainment. Those people are out of work.
Yep, they're out of work. We have to do something about it. And these types of things might help. So for instance, just to give you an example, one of the in-demand jobs, it turns out, is call center stuff suddenly. The lines are overloaded. So what we've got to do is basically connect people that have been laid off. They're in retail. They're in something that basically requires people to move around. Let's get them connected to jobs where they don't have to do that, and they can do it from home because there's demand for this talent. So this is the function I think recruiters would going to rapidly assemble around this. And as you say, I think there's going to be a lot of time donated, but eventually this may be, a future place that you end up doing your business.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think LinkedIn too. Hopefully, they got the message too. I've seen a couple of folks on LinkedIn who work for LinkedIn, assisting people with some donated premium accounts, some other services. Maybe they could reduce, some of their fees around some of their added premium recruitment services too, as long as they are for good, right? We're not talking about somebody who's still profiting off of this. Hung, I appreciate you a lot, man, and what you do for this community. And you're a curator. You're an amazing content DJ, and you're also a pretty good MC, pulling it all together and really propelling our community, keeping everyone informed. So thank you for that. I appreciate our friendship. And I truly hope that I'll see you in early July at RecFest in the UK, my man, and have that pint that we've been waiting for.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, dude.
Awesome. And everyone following along, I'll have the full replay in the comments here. And if you're not connected to Hung, please definitely connect with him. I will also put a link to subscribe to Recruiting Brainfood. It's awesome. I wake up hungover with Hung every Sunday. Hungover with Hung. I don't know. I'm sure I didn't coin that one. I'm sure that's not original.
Figuratively.
Yes.
Yeah.
My Sunday mornings, the first email that I see when my one crusted eye opens up, when I have the kids grabbing me on one side is Hung's Recruiting Brainfood. But I kid. It's awesome. It's something that really keeps me connected. Hung, I appreciate you and everyone listening. Thank you for joining us on the podcast live. I'm working on some shows for next week. It's all up in the air, but I'm going to bring together some great folks like Hung and keep everyone informed. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And just take care, wash your hands, and look out for each other. Be good. All right.